Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of This Week in Phillies Baseball. I am your host for the evening, Austin Hamill. Joining me this week are Alex Reich and Connor Uchida. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Doing well.
I'm good. I mean, the Phillies kind of put a damper on the weekend, but I overall I can't complain.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough weekend for the Phils, taking two losses out of the three games against the Angels, coming back from the All-Star break. And we do have a game in about 40 minutes, so we're going to keep this kind of brief. Gentlemen, I'll start with you, Connor. What were like sort of the thoughts that you had on how the Phillies played over this weekend, and along with that, who was a player that stood out to you from that series for Philadelphia?
Well, to answer your second question first, for me it was either Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber. Those two guys had themselves a series against that Angels pitching staff, so that was good to see. And I just, to go back to your first question, I just thought that there was kind of a lack of timely hitting at points, and against a major league team, I don't care how bad their pitchers are. If you can't get those timely hits, you're gonna struggle to win games. So,
yeah, especially with runners in scoring position. Alex, your thoughts on the weekend?
I was actually at the game, the first two games of the series, and it was great to see Kyle Schwarber get going in the series. I felt like he was definitely on his game, especially the first two games that I saw, and even though they lost the first game, they looked like they were even on level of how to win games, but they just fell short that one. And I really liked how Bryce Harper continued to hit the ball. I feel like his at bats are growing every day, and that's what exactly the Phillies need in him. Just have contact on the bat and don't do too much, and that's exactly what he's been doing over the course of the last series. But I'm interested to see how they continue going into the Red Sox series.
Yeah, 100% agree with both of you guys. The hitting definitely needs to find those spots again, and we definitely saw the bats come alive in the second game of that series, and even like you had said, Alex, in the first, I think Harper had 3 home runs in the series, 2 of them in one game, I believe it was.
Yep.
He had the home run game. Yes.
Yeah, it was. It's good to see those kinds of things happen, especially coming off of the All-Star break, where you had your guys have some time to sort of rest and recollect and get ready for the tail end of this season. Also, with Alec Bohm being put on the IL with the rib injury from taking that pitch, I believe it was against San Diego before the break happened. Where do you think this Alec Bohm injury could sort of affect Philadelphia more? Do you think it would be on the defensive end or at the plate more than anything?
I would say at the plate, because Bohm has been hitting pretty well, and I don't really see that much of a hole in defensively, but I just hope that everything goes smoothly defensively going forward in the Bohm's replacement. And I feel like I'm really, really confident in what they have at the moment defensively.
Yeah, you spoke offensively about Bohm. His season so far, a 278 batting average with 8 home runs, 42 RBIs, a slugging percentage of 391, and a total OPS of 715. It's definitely going to be a bit tough to kind of replace those numbers at the plate, and even like you had said with his defense, there's there's going to be a bit of a hole, but I feel like Edmundo Sosa, Tony Kemp, Otto Kemp, those kinds of guys have the capability to be able to sort of collectively fill that void. Connor, your thoughts on how the Bohm injury could affect Philadelphia?
I would say at the plate as well. Even though Alec Boehm has improved tremendously since his rookie season on the defensive end of the diamond, but just having that guy at the plate with runners in scoring position specifically, like he's one of the best players in baseball with ducks on the pond and in scoring position. So yeah, it's gonna be tough to replace that production, but hopefully Edmundo and Otto can while he heals up, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a road ahead. I believe it was a 10-day IL stint for Alec, retroactive to before the All-Star break. During that San Diego series, he suffered that injury. But we're gonna jump ahead here because like I had said at the top of this, we have a game in about 40 minutes. Philadelphia is welcoming in the Boston Red Sox. The pitching matchup tonight is going to be Zach Wheeler, Walker Buehler. I'll start with you, Connor. What do you expect from this game in particular with this pitching matchup, and your thoughts on what this series could be as a whole?
I expect this game specifically to be one of those 2-1, 3-2 type of games. Like both guys are kind of are really good pitchers. I know Bueller isn't having the typical Walker Bueller year, but he's still historically one of the best pitchers in the game, and I fully expect this to be a pitcher's duel, even though these two offenses are two of the best in the game. So we'll see how it goes down, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, Alex, your thoughts?
I'm actually just looking at it, and Walker Buehler pitched July 10th against Tampa Bay, and he went 6 innings, giving up 3 runs, and had 2 strikeouts. And I think that just going off of that, I think the Phillies offense definitely needs to get going early, as what they always have their mindset on going into each and every game. I feel like the leadoff spot is a really crucial time of the game, and they definitely need to do well with runners in scoring position. I know that over the course of the couple months during the season, they've been really atrocious with runners in scoring position, and this is the series where they need to get going and have the opportunity to win this series to get on the winning column.
Yeah, Bueller this season on the road, a 3-4 record with an 8.66 ERA and only 24 strikeouts, allowing 53 hits over 35 and a third total innings. This definitely could be that series where you could, especially with this pitching matchup, if Walker Buehler can find his stuff, because he can be very dangerous. He has a lot of really solid off-speed stuff. His breaking pitches are very, very deceptive and very good, depending on if you can get what pitchers nowadays are calling tunneling. If you can get that same arm slot, same ball position with every single one of your pitches, and get that the eye line to change drastically between each pitch, Walker Buehler can definitely manipulate those kinds of things very well, and he has the ability to get a team locked down once he can really get himself going. Same thing with Zach Wheeler. We've seen it all season long. I agree with what you had said, Connor, how you feel like it could be like a 2-1, 3-2, maybe even 4-3 type of game. Especially if both of these pitchers really do get a lot of their stuff working. It could end up just being one of those breaking balls that just doesn't break and is left up to a guy like a Schwarber or even to a guy like a Wilyer Abreu or a Trevor Story. Even these guys have the ability to really put a bat to a ball and just get it going on either side for both teams. Our second game of this series tomorrow night, let me see if they have the probables listed for that one. it will be Christopher Sanchez for the Philadelphia Phillies, sporting an 8-2 record with a 2.50 ERA, 99 strikeouts over 115 innings. Going up against Richard Fitz, a 1-3 record for him, 4.28 ERA, 33 2/3 total innings pitched, 28 strikeouts on the year for him for Boston. How do you guys think? Not only, again, this is more speculative than anything. Where do you guys think Philadelphia could be looking at, not only in terms of the series, like if you think they'll have to battle back to try and win a second game here, or even more so, with the Mets only trailing us by a half game coming into this series, where do you think Philadelphia will stand in terms of the divisional race?
I'll start. I think this game 1 and game 2 I think are absolutely crucial. I think especially with Christopher Sanchez looking to looking to kind of prove all the people that didn't vote for him for the All-Star game wrong. So I think these first 2 games are absolutely critical. But going off of like the second half as a whole, like I see this series as kind of a playoff preview, because you're gonna see like really solid pitching staffs when you get to like late September, early October, mid-October. So this series for me really is like the playoff preview / like litmus test. Do you guys get that feeling as well, or is it just me?
No, yeah, I definitely get that feeling. Boston is right in the midst of the race in the AL East. They're only 5 games out from Toronto as we speak, so they have a bit of ground they have to make up. But the AL East has been very volatile this year, so there's a chance that they could end up near the tail end of the season being able to sneak their way into a playoff spot and then make a decent run. Like they have the bats to be able to do it. Their lineup is stacked with some really decent guys. Trevor Story, Alex Bregman, Willie Abreu, who I mentioned earlier. Like they have the stuff to be able to make a decent playoff run. They just have to be able to get there. And with the way the AL East has been this year, it could end up being either any one of the 3 between them, the Yankees, and the Blue Jays for sure.
Yeah, I feel like the Angels playing the Mets. The Mets should definitely not take the Angels lightly. The Angels' offense has been terrific as of late, and I'm curious to see if the Angels can win that series starting tonight. And I think that it'll be really helpful if they can win two out of 3 for the Phillies and have a little cushion, a better cushion in the standings, than being like a half game up from the Mets every like other day or two. And I just feel like this is the week where things can change dramatically with between these 2 teams, and it's just a matter of how much wins the Phillies can get in the series and later in the week. And I feel like that I'm feeling really confident in the Angels getting 2 out of 3 against the Mets, because the Mets they just haven't been up to par with the way they've been playing lately, especially the way they've been making easy errors in the infield and having the ability to get the outs that they need. And it just off lately. And I feel like the Phillies have the better shot to be up more in the standings rather than just being the half game up every other day or 2.
Yeah, we're definitely at that point now where with the divisional race, series like these are going to matter a lot more. It could end up being a 3-4 game swing depending on how the team's looking going into it and how the games actually can pan out. And like you said, if the Mets take the Angels kind of lightly over there, guys like Logan O'Hoppe, Mike Trout, and those guys will definitely be able to really pounce on those opportunities and make you pay for it for sure. I kind of at this point, sort of walking back a little bit to what you were saying, Connor. These first two games definitely are very crucial for Philadelphia. Being able to establish yourself in this series as early and often as you can, to be able to give yourself really solid opportunities to win these ball games, is going to matter now. Because like I said, we're in the second half of the season now. You're not going to have as much of a break as you had throughout the first half. A lot of teams are starting to ramp up more, knowing that, these chases are going to start coming down to the next couple months. We have what it usually ends in late September, early October, the regular season. So you got probably about 2.5, 3 good months of baseball before you get into playoff mode. And starting now, you have to put the LA series in the rearview mirror. Granted, it was only more than 24 hours ago at this point. You have to be able to put that behind you, look forward to this Boston series. And then what we're about to touch on now, looking ahead even from then to the Yankees this weekend, traveling out to New York to face off against them. There's a lot of, you're facing off against a lot of really stiff competition to start off your second half schedule. And especially for the end of this week, the Yankees are no small task. The capability that they have to drive the ball, the ability that their pitchers have to be able to, in clutch situations, be able to get the punch outs that they need, get the ground outs, turn the double plays, even with, some guys like, like the Jazz Chisholms, the overall multifaceted capabilities that these guys have. And just looking at that roster up and down, like there'll be days where, their first baseman isn't going to be Paul Goldschmidt. Like, it's insane to say, when a couple years ago he was an NL MVP candidate, to be able to now all of a sudden, he's not starting most days, depending on the pitcher that he's going up against, because his numbers have faltered a lot since he had moved over to St. Louis. The last 2 years of his contract there with St. Louis, he didn't perform the way he had expected to. And I feel like being in a platoon role for him is going to be a bit better, which you've sort of seen with his numbers a bit throughout the year. A lot of these guys with the torpedo bats started with the Yankees, and they were starting to take the cover off the ball in the early go for the year. So it's going to be a lot of, you're facing, like Connor said, this is your litmus test. You're going up against some of the potential playoff contenders, guys that you could potentially end up facing in a World Series. And you need to be able to try and get the edge on these guys now, so that when you go to face them again later on, you have that tape to look at and see, what they could have potentially improved on. So, that you basically earmark the things that you need to be able to look out for later on. And I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this. Where do you guys feel that this bit of a run that we have here with the Red Sox and the Yankees this whole week, do you feel like I feel how this is potentially the bar for what you will have to face come playoff time?
Yeah, I think it definitely is. It's just a matter of how the opponent performance is every night, and I feel like if the Phillies have the ability to cross in put in runs in the first 3 or 4 innings of each game, then it'll be a different ball game at the end of the series. And it's just going to be the Phillies just got to go into every game being 1-0 as a mentality. And I totally agree with you, Austin, and same with you, Connor. I just feel like that they've been doing a good job with everything, and it's going to be interesting to see the next 2 series of what goes down.
Yeah, I would agree with Austin and Alex as well. I do think this is, again, your litmus test as far as playoff baseball. I mean, these next 62 or so games are going to be huge for the Phillies to see like how they kind of match up against like playoff level competition. So it's exciting, and I can't wait to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, the Yankee series is going to be a really fun one. I think both two really potent offenses, just like you're seeing tonight in the next 2 days, going up against Boston. A couple of really potent offenses with really solid pitching staffs, especially the starting rotations. Even with the Yankees too, really solid starting rotations, very potent offenses capable of driving the ball really hard. You're going to get to see what MLB wanted for baseball over the past few years in these games. You're going to see a lot of offense. You're going to see, what everyone wants to see, which is, you'll see home runs, you'll see extra base hits, lots of very live crowds. And I genuinely, again, going sort of cycling back to what I was saying just a moment ago, I feel like this is the true, like the true series to be like the true week to be like, okay, now the grind really starts. These are two very capable clubs that you're going up against, clubs that have proven track records, not only in the past couple of years, but in their entire team's history of being very successful franchises. And you are starting to put yourself on the map in that way as well. You have the pedigree of the players that you have on your team. The history is there for Philadelphia, especially for Philadelphia and the Yankees playing each other in the 2009 World Series. There's history there, but it's like you guys were saying, you're in the early half of the second half of the season, still try and take it one game at a time, but these games are big, and then going forward from there, the guys will touch base with you guys again next week when this set of games for this week have rounded out, and they'll be looking forward to the next week of games, which are going to be even more grind. This is the point where you want to try and establish a bit more of a lead in your division. You want to be able to really prove that, some of these guys that, especially the starters, getting the all-star snubs or choosing not to participate, where it makes it all worth it. You want these guys to be able to prove, like Schwarber, you want him to be able to prove that, he definitely was deserving of that All-Star Game MVP. I mean, this guy, which I want to talk about that for a minute. The first swing off in All-Star Game history since it's been put in as a thing in 2022, and Kyle Schwarber absolutely destroys 3 baseballs to give the National League the win. What were your guys' thoughts seeing that happen?
Yeah, my heart rate was racing when it happened, and I love how the All-Star Game has the swing off now. If the game ends in a tie, and I feel like it's much better than what it used to be, and it's definitely funner with everything that goes on, like this past All-Star Game. And hats off to Kyle for absolutely demolishing the 3 baseballs, and bringing home the hardware with the cool bat that he brought back. And he's continuing to light up in the batter's box, and hopefully he continues that tonight and the rest of the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought I actually watched the highlights the next day, and that just like fired me up. A bit of like an underrated thought. This is probably a pretty popular opinion. I like that baseball allowed the players to wear like their team uniforms, and I think that should be customary for all of the All-Star games, because like having like a uniform for East, West, National League, American League, or like the certain divisions for one meaningless game just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But I mean, if the leagues want to do it to make extra money, of course they're going to. But I prefer like the players to wear their own team's uniforms. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I genuinely do like that because of the fact that you can be like someone that's, new to the sport is watching the All-Star game because they're over at a friend's house and they're like, "Oh, that dude's really cool. Like he hits the ball a mile. Like who does he play for?" Instead of having to hope that you can catch the logo on just the hat that they're wearing, you get them in their full jersey and you're like, "Okay, so they play for this team." You can easily look that guy up now and be able to find out who they play for, and you can a person that didn't even know the sport could potentially become, say, like a Dodgers fan because they saw Shohei Ohtani playing and they loved how he played. It's fun for being able to put those players out there, like we had talked about before the All-Star break. It's definitely, you're still getting your most marketable players out there because of the fact that those guys are getting voted in because everyone knows who they are. The Ronald Acuna Juniors, the Shohei Otanis, the Tariq Skubals, all those kinds of guys. So you're getting to see these guys already, and having the individual jerseys definitely helps with getting their exposure out there even more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, so we touched a bit on our opinions on both series for this upcoming week. What do you guys have for final record predictions once this week wraps up? We'll start with you, Alex.
I think they go 4 out of 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still 2 away from both.
I was gonna say 4-2, maybe even 5-1. I think 6-0 is a bit of a tall task, especially with the Yankees and Red Sox, and like how good those two teams are. But we'll see what happens. It's gonna be an exciting week, and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys all next week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a really fun series. I think 4-2 is the most reasonable expectation because Boston has had a few defensive issues throughout the season. Same thing with New York, so you'll probably end up sneaking away with an extra win or two from both series. So I feel like 4-2 is fair. I feel like the loss that you get from both is going to be an absolute blowout, though. So I feel like you'll probably lose by like 7 or more to both teams as part as your two losses, which are going to be kind of demoralizing. But I feel like it's going to be that thing where like we win big, they win big, and then we barely get by. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the themes that the Phillies have had this year is they'll win by a large margin, and then lose by a large margin, and then win by 4 or less. Which it's still exciting baseball. But the fact that you have to be, especially if you're on both sides of the line on this one, to see your team either win or lose really big the first game and then have it happen the opposite way the second game can really take a lot of heart out of you, especially going through a series because you think you just lost big, you're probably just going to fold in this final game, and then to be able to scratch out a win to carry momentum into the next series, to be able to work on another really strong outing for both pitching and guys at the plate. There's a lot of potential here for, like I said, for great baseball, especially with, again, we were talking about the NL East race being as close as it is right now. And you look at the rest of the races around the league. The AL East is kind of tight. Top 3 teams are within 5 games of each other. There's a lot in this second half of the season. The storylines are already being written. A lot of the stuff has already been in motion since, mid-May. So, there's a lot of really fun action going on, especially in this last 2.5-3 months of baseball. So I hope you guys definitely do keep it all locked in, not only with the team themselves, but also with us here every Monday on This Week in Phillies Baseball. The game's going to be starting off in about 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, guys. I'm going to start with you, Alex, if you want to let people know where they can find you and what things you have coming up in the next few weeks.
You can find me on my personal Twitter page at AlexRich123. I have a football podcast at Let's Take 123, basketball podcast at Hoop Fanatics, and my baseball podcast Dugout Report 12, and I got some interviews coming up starting tomorrow with two. I'll be posting them on my Twitter page for my football podcast, and I'll definitely let everyone know what's to come after that. And I'm excited for the next batch of content that I'll be doing.
Absolutely. We look forward to it, Alex. Connor, same thing over to you.
Yep, and with me, it's just Sports Live in the 215 on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So that's really easy. You can follow us on all of our social media. Same logo, same name, same everything. So join the team. We've got a lot of good content coming up, and tomorrow I'll probably review. I'll probably recap game 1 of this series as well as preview games 2 and 3 of this Phillies and Red Sox series. So it should be fun.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And for you guys here, I won't be back on the program until the 11th of August, unless something happens and someone's not able to make it for a night. I can easily fill in. But I hope you guys enjoy the games that are coming up in between now and when you see me again next. In the meantime, if you did want to catch up on some content that I do, right down here, twitch.tv/Hambo26. Play a lot of silly video games with my friends. I usually upload a lot of the stuff to my YouTube channel under the same name. So if you give a sub over there, drop a few likes and all that fun stuff. And on top of that, give likes and share out the content that we do here on the Hardcore Sports Network. It's a very, very fun group of guys to be able to work with. I enjoy getting to see you guys every single week. And with that, I appreciate everyone out there watching. Enjoy the game tonight and the rest of the week. We will catch you all next Monday for another edition of This Week in Phillies Baseball.